Zara Williams' hands trembled as she stared at her phone, tears streaming down her face while her 6-month-old daughter Maya wailed on the filthy airport bathroom floor. 3 tweets. That's all it had taken to bring a billion-dollar airline to its knees. Her notification screen flooded with thousands of messages, death threats mixed with worldwide support. The airline CEO's voicemail played again. "You've destroyed everything. We're coming for you now." She'd only wanted dignity for her baby, but now she feared for their lives. How did a simple flight turn into a fight for survival? Before we begin this shocking story, let viewers know where you're watching from. If you believe in justice and standing up against discrimination, hit that like and subscribe button to stay updated on more powerful stories that need to be told. 3 weeks earlier, Zara Williams boarded Empire Airlines Flight 2703 from Detroit to San Francisco with mixed emotions. As a 32-year-old marketing executive who had just closed a major deal, she felt accomplished. But traveling alone, with 6-month-old Maya, made her anxious. The moment she stepped onto the plane, flight attendant Brittany Holt's smile vanished, replaced by a tight-lipped grimace as she scanned Zara's first-class ticket twice. "You're in 3A, Brittany said curtly, not offering the assistance she had given the white passengers ahead of Zara. "Please board quickly. We're behind schedule." Zara adjusted Maya's carrier and made her way to her seat, noticing how Brittany immediately resumed her cheerful demeanor for the elderly white couple behind her. She tried to dismiss the interaction as she settled Maya, who was peacefully sleeping after an exhausting morning. The flight took off smoothly until they hit unexpected turbulence over Nebraska. The seatbelt sign flashed on as the plane jolted violently. Maya woke with a startled cry, and Zara immediately smelled the problem. A diaper change was urgently needed, but they were trapped by the turbulence for 20 more minutes. By the time the seatbelt sign turned off, Maya was screaming and the situation had become messy. "I need to change my daughter," Zara told Brittany, who was passing with a drink cart. Brittany barely glanced at the distressed baby. "The changing table is in the forward lavatory. Be quick about it." Zara hurried to the bathroom, only to find an out-of-order sign taped to the folding changing table. The plastic surface had a large crack running across it. Holding Maya in one arm and her changing supplies in the other, she returned to the galley where Brittany was preparing drinks. "The changing table is broken. Do you have any alternatives?" Zara asked politely. Brittany looked annoyed at the interruption. "That's unfortunate. You'll have to make do." "Make do how? My baby needs to be changed now." "I can't help you. Perhaps use the lavatory floor? Just be quick and clean up after yourself." Brittany turned away dismissively. Stunned, Zara stood there as Maya continued crying. A white female passenger approached with her own infant. "Excuse me," the woman said to Brittany. "I need to change my little one." Without hesitation, Brittany smiled warmly. "Of course. Let me get you our portable changing pad. We keep them for emergencies." She produced a clean folding pad from a cabinet Zara hadn't even seen. Zara watched in disbelief as Brittany personally escorted the white mother to the lavatory, holding doors open for her. "I need one of those pads too," Zara stated when Brittany returned. "Sorry, we only had one. It's company policy to reserve amenities for passengers who book in advance." It was a blatant lie, and they both knew it. Zara hadn't seen any option to reserve changing pads when booking her ticket. With no choice, Zara returned to the bathroom. She placed her own changing pad on the filthy floor, disgusted at having to lay her baby down there. Pulling out her phone, she documented the situation, recording a quick video showing the broken changing table, the floor, and Maya's distress. When she returned to her seat, several passengers were staring. An older white woman whispered to her husband loud enough for Zara to hear, "Those people never know how to control their children." As Zara settled back in, she noticed flight attendant Gregory Chen watching her with sympathetic eyes. When he came to offer her a drink, he leaned down and whispered, "I'm so sorry about that. It happens too often." "What happens too often?" Zara asked. Gregory hesitated. "I can't say more. I need this job." He quickly moved on to the next passenger. Halfway through the flight, Maya started fussing again. As Zara tried to comfort her, Brittany appeared. "Several passengers have complained about the noise," she said sharply. "You need to control your child." Zara looked around at the other passengers with babies, none of whom were being approached despite their children making similar sounds. "Why are you singling me out when there are 3 other babies on this flight?" Zara asked. Brittany's expression hardened. "I'm not singling anyone out, but if you continue being disruptive, I'll have security meet us at arrival." "Disruptive? I'm trying to comfort my child after you forced me to change her on a bathroom floor. Lower your voice immediately or I'll inform the captain." As Brittany stalked away, Zara felt a familiar surge of anger and helplessness. This wasn't her first experience with discrimination, but it was certainly the most blatant. She remembered being followed in high-end stores, being asked if she belonged in her own office building, and being mistaken for the nanny rather than Maya's mother. Minutes later, the captain's voice came over the intercom. "Ladies and gentlemen, I remind all passengers that disruptive behavior will not be tolerated. The passenger in seat 3A needs to comply with crew instructions or face consequences upon landing." Several passengers turned to stare at Zara, who sat there in shock. Her seat number announced to the entire plane as if she were a criminal. Maya sensed her tension and began crying again. As Zara gently rocked her daughter, a steely determination replaced her shock. She thought of all the times she had swallowed her anger, all the times she had smiled through discrimination to keep the peace. "Not this time," she whispered to Maya as she kissed her forehead. "This time I'm not staying silent." The moment the plane touched down in San Francisco, Zara's heart raced. Would security really be waiting? How would she protect Maya if things escalated? As passengers began gathering their belongings, she carefully secured Maya in her carrier, hyper-aware of the stares from surrounding passengers. The instant she stepped into the jet bridge, 2 uniformed security officers approached. Officer James Reynolds, a burly man with cold eyes, immediately invaded her personal space. "Ma'am, we need you to step aside," he commanded, his hand firmly gripping her elbow. "I'm holding my baby," Zara protested. "Can you please give me some space?" Reynolds ignored her request, removed the baby carrier and handed over. "What? No. She's secured safely. What is this about?" "You were reported as combative on the flight. Standard procedure for combative passengers." Several passengers stopped to watch. A young white woman began recording with her phone while an older man shouted, "Just do what they say." "Some people always make everything difficult." Zara held her ground. "I will not separate from my daughter. There was no combative behavior. I was racially profiled by your flight attendant who forced my baby to be changed on a bathroom floor, while providing proper facilities to white mothers." Reynolds forcibly pulled the carrier strap from Zara's shoulder despite her protests. The sudden movement startled Maya, who began wailing. Other passengers gathered, some recording, others commenting. "This is exactly how those people act when they don't get special treatment," a woman muttered. "Hey, leave her alone," a black businessman intervened. "I was on that flight. She did nothing wrong." As the confrontation escalated, Patricia Lopez, the airport's customer service manager, finally arrived. "What seems to be the problem?" she asked, barely glancing at Zara. "Your security officer just forcibly separated me from my child," Zara explained, her voice shaking as she reached for Maya. "Your flight attendant forced me to change my baby on a filthy bathroom floor while providing changing pads to white passengers." Lopez's expression remained professionally blank. "I'm sure there's been a misunderstanding. Empire Airlines values all customers equally." "There was no misunderstanding. I have video evidence." Lopez sighed. "Look, we can offer you a $50 voucher for your inconvenience." "Inconvenience? This was racial discrimination." "That's a serious accusation without proof." "I told you, I have video evidence." Lopez exchanged glances with Reynolds. "We can review your complaint formally if you insist, but accept the voucher. And we can all move on from this unfortunate situation." Zara stood firm. "I want a formal investigation and documentation of this incident." As Lopez reluctantly led Zara to the customer service desk, A black employee named Marcus Webb caught her eye. While Lopez was distracted with paperwork, he discreetly slipped Zara his business card. "Document everything," he whispered. "This happens all the time. I want to help." Zara spent an hour filing a detailed complaint while Maya grew increasingly fussy. She described the incident in detail, provided the names of witnesses, and mentioned her video evidence. Lopez assured her the complaint would receive a thorough investigation, but her dismissive tone suggested otherwise. After leaving the airport, Zara discovered through online research that dozens of similar complaints against Empire Airlines had been filed over the past 5 years. All had been dismissed or buried. That evening, Maya developed an angry red rash on her legs and bottom, requiring a trip to urgent care. The doctor confirmed it was likely caused by contact with unsanitary surfaces. "The bathroom floor? On an airplane?" the doctor asked, horrified. "That's completely unacceptable." Zara posted about her experience on social media, describing what happened without sharing the video yet. Her post received hundreds of supportive comments, with many sharing similar experiences. The next morning, Zara received an email response from Empire Airlines customer service. It was clearly an automated message but contained a concerning detail. An internal communication had been accidentally attached. In the email thread, a manager wrote, "Another one playing the race card. Ignore until it blows over. These complaints never stick." Seeing this, something snapped inside Zara. She had played by the rules, filed the proper complaints, and this was how they responded. With trembling fingers, she uploaded her bathroom floor video to Twitter with 3 powerful captions. Tweet: 1. Empire Airlines forced my black baby to be changed on a filthy bathroom floor while giving white mothers portable changing pads. Flying while black. Tweet 2. When I complained, they called security, publicly announced my seat number, and physically separated me from my child. Empire Air. This is what racial discrimination looks like. Tweet 3. My baby now has a severe rash from your racism, like Empire Air. How many other black mothers and babies have you treated like this? This ends now. Have you ever witnessed racial discrimination while traveling? Comment 1. If you believe companies should face serious consequences for treating people differently based on race. Like and subscribe if you think we need to expose these injustices wherever they happen. What do you think will happen when Zara's tweets go viral? Will Empire Airlines simply weather the storm, or will they face real consequences for their actions? Stay tuned to find out how one mother's fight for dignity turned into a movement that nobody saw coming. Zara woke up to her phone buzzing uncontrollably. Bleary-eyed, she checked the screen and gasped. Her tweets had exploded overnight, garnering hundreds of thousands of retweets and over 2 million views in less than 24 hours. The hashtag #DahmerFloorChangeMama was trending globally, and her inbox overflowed with messages from news outlets requesting interviews. She scrolled through the notifications in disbelief. People from around the world were sharing her story, adding their own experiences with Empire Airlines and other companies. The video of Maya on the bathroom floor had struck a nerve with parents everywhere, transcending racial lines while highlighting the specific discrimination she had faced. Empire Airlines' first response came 8 hours after her tweets, a sterile corporate statement that only fueled the growing outrage. Empire Airlines values all our customers and is investigating this isolated incident. We regret any misunderstanding that may have occurred. The term misunderstanding ignited another wave of anger across social media. A popular reality TV star with 20 million followers retweeted Zara's video, adding, "This isn't a misunderstanding, this is racism. Boycott Empire Airlines." By midday, major news networks were running the story. Empire Airlines stock had dropped 5% in a single day, representing hundreds of millions in lost market value. Zara sat on her couch, Maya sleeping peacefully beside her, watching as her personal experience became international news. Her phone rang with an unknown number. Against her better judgment, she answered. "Is this the attention-seeking liar?" A male voice hissed. "You're making this up for money. We know where you live." Zara hung up immediately, hands shaking. This was the third threatening call since morning. She checked her apartment door again to ensure it was locked, then jumped when her phone buzzed with a text. "This is Marcus Webb from the airport. Can we talk securely? I have information." They arranged to meet at a public cafe near her apartment. Marcus arrived looking nervous, constantly checking over his shoulder. "I'm risking everything by talking to you," he said quietly. "But what happened to you happens all the time, and I can't stay silent anymore." He slid a USB drive across the table. Internal documents. Empire has a pattern of customer prioritization that's really just racism disguised as corporate policy. There's a secret employee forum where black workers share experiences and document incidents. "How long has this been happening?" Zara asked. "Years. Dozens of employees have been fired for speaking up. We've formed an underground support network. After your tweets, many want to come forward." That afternoon, Zara received a jaw-dropping email. Empire Airlines had accidentally included her on an internal communication about damage control. Senior leadership was discussing ways to discredit her rather than address the discrimination. Meanwhile, CEO Richard Blackwell appeared on a business news channel, dismissively characterizing the incident as exaggerated. "Social media tends to amplify misunderstandings. We have no systemic issues at Empire Airlines." The interviewer, usually deferential to corporate guests, surprised everyone by playing Zara's video. "Is this what you call a misunderstanding, Mr. Blackwell?" Blackwell's uncomfortable stammering became an instant meme, further damaging the company's reputation. By evening, Empire's stock had fallen another 3%. As Zara prepared for bed, exhausted from the day's events, her phone rang again. This time, it was a woman with a warm, authoritative voice. "Ms. Williams? My name is Eliza Washington. I'm a civil rights attorney. What Empire Airlines did to you and your daughter is not just unethical, it's illegal. They're going to try to discredit you, buy your silence, or intimidate you before they admit fault. Are you ready for that fight?" "They've already started," Zara replied, describing the threatening calls. "Document everything. Don't delete any messages or emails, even the threatening ones. Their playbook is predictable. They'll dig through your past, twist your words, and try to paint you as problematic. I have nothing to hide. Everyone has something that can be twisted, Ms. Williams. Are you prepared for them to try destroying your reputation to protect their brand?" Before Zara could answer, a new email notification appeared. Someone had forwarded her an internal memo from Empire's crisis management firm. The subject line made her blood run cold. "Williams situation. Discreditation strategy." "Ms. Washington," Zara said, her voice steadying with resolve, "I think I need your help sooner rather than later." The tabloid headline struck like a physical blow. "Attention seeker. The troubled past of Empire Airlines accuser." Zara stared at her phone in disbelief, reading allegations about previous race-baiting incidents that had never happened. The article cited anonymous sources, claiming she had a history of making discrimination claims for financial gain. "They didn't waste any time," Eliza Washington said when Zara forwarded the article. "This is from Mediafront. They're known for publishing hit pieces when corporations need damage control." By morning, the smear campaign had expanded to multiple outlets. Fabricated stories about Zara's problematic workplace behavior and history of complaints spread across the internet. Old social media posts were taken out of context, with innocent comments twisted to paint her as perpetually angry and unreasonable. When Zara arrived at work, the atmosphere had noticeably shifted. Her boss, Donald Pierce, who had texted supportive messages just yesterday, now barely made eye contact. "Can we talk in private?" he asked, ushering her into his office. "Zara, I've always valued your work, but this situation is creating problems for the agency. 3 clients have expressed concerns about your involvement in their campaigns." "Because I stood up against discrimination?" Zara asked incredulously. "Your battle with Empire is becoming distracting. We think it's best if you take some time off, paid leave, of course." "Donald, this is retaliation. You know that, right?" He wouldn't meet her eyes. "It's a business decision, nothing personal." As she packed up her desk, Zara noticed colleagues whispering behind her back. "Projects. she had been leading were already being reassigned. Her phone buzzed with a notification from a parenting forum she frequented. Someone had posted a lengthy critique of her parenting skills, questioning why she had exploited her baby for social media fame. That afternoon, Zara's nightmares worsened. A representative from Child Protective Services knocked on her door, explaining they had received an anonymous tip about Maya's welfare. "This is harassment," Zara protested as the social worker inspected her apartment. "Empire Airlines is retaliating because I exposed their discrimination." "I'm just following up on a report, ma'am," the worker said neutrally, though she admitted everything seemed fine with Maya and the home environment. After the inspection, Zara's hands wouldn't stop shaking. She called Eliza Washington, who wasn't surprised. "This is textbook corporate intimidation. They're trying to scare you into—" "Silence," Eliza's voice hardened. "But we have news too. Gregory Chen, the sympathetic flight attendant from your flight, has been fired." "For what reason?" "Officially for unrelated performance issues, but he believes it's because he spoke to investigators about what happened to you. He's willing to go on record now." Zara tried calling Marcus Webb to tell him about these developments, but his phone had been disconnected. His Empire Airlines email bounced back. Before she could process this, Eliza called again. "They've filed a defamation lawsuit against you for $2 million. It's a scare tactic, but we need to respond legally." $2 million? I don't have that kind of money." "That's the point. They want to financially ruin you so others won't speak up." Later that day, Zara's bank called to inform her that her accounts had been temporarily frozen due to suspicious activity. When she contacted her landlord about her upcoming rent payment, he sounded uncomfortable. "Actually, Zara, we need to discuss your lease. We've received complaints from other tenants about increased foot traffic and media presence. This building values privacy and—" "They got to you too," Zara interrupted. "Empire Airlines or someone connected to them contacted you, didn't they?" His uncomfortable silence was answer enough. Eliza Washington assembled a legal team working pro bono to fight back against the mounting pressure. "This level of retaliation shows we've hit a nerve. They wouldn't be fighting this hard if there wasn't something bigger they're trying to hide." That evening, while preparing Maya's diaper bag for the next day, Zara found something that sent chills down her spine. A small black tracking device tucked into an inside pocket. Someone had been monitoring her movements, knowing exactly where she and Maya went at all times. She called Eliza immediately. "Don't touch it," the attorney instructed. "We'll have it analyzed. Pack essential items only. No electronics except your phone, and remove the battery until you arrive." "Arrive where?" "A safe house in Oakland. You're not the first person they've tried to intimidate, and you won't be the last. But you'll be safer with others who understand what you're facing." As Zara packed a small bag for herself and Maya, she thought about how quickly her life had unraveled. 3 tweets had transformed her from a successful marketing executive to a target, all because she had refused to accept discrimination. The FITES company's reaction only confirmed one thing. This wasn't an isolated incident. Empire Airlines was willing to destroy lives to protect a system of discrimination they couldn't afford to have exposed. The safe house in Oakland was a modest 3-bedroom home in a quiet neighborhood. When Zara arrived, carrying Maya and her hastily packed bag, she was greeted by a Latina woman with kind eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. "I'm Sandra Diaz, the woman said, quickly ushering them inside. "Former Empire Airlines flight attendant. I worked there for 8 years until I reported discrimination and suddenly became unsuitable for customer service." Inside, Zara found 4 other people gathered in the living room. They introduced themselves: Terrence, a former baggage handler; Michelle, who had worked in Empire's booking department; David, an ex-security officer; and Alicia, a passenger who had experienced a situation eerily similar to Zara's 6 months earlier. "We call ourselves the Truth Squad," Sandra explained, taking Maya gently so Zara could sit down. "We've been documenting Empire's discrimination for years." "I had no idea it was this organized," Zara said, looking around at the group. "Because they're experts at keeping it quiet," David replied. "I was security for 5 years. We were trained to identify potential problem customers using criteria that were clearly racial profiling, just coded in corporate language. Sandra retrieved a thick binder and placed it on the coffee table. This is what got me fired. I smuggled it out before. They escorted me from the premises. The binder contained a training manual titled Profitability Demographic Management. Flipping through it, Zara felt sick. The manual outlined how to identify high-maintenance, low-value customers using coded language that clearly targeted racial minorities. There's a whole vocabulary, Michelle explained. Flight attendants use code words to alert each other about passengers they should provide minimal service to or watch more carefully. Potential revenue limiters. Service. Allocation candidates. Monitor plus passengers, Sandra read from the manual. All fancy ways of saying, give these people worse service because they're not white. Terrence showed Zara internal emails documenting how baggage belonging to passengers with ethnic names was routinely selected for additional screening, often resulting in delayed or damaged items. They have an entire database, he explained, opening a laptop. Every passenger is assigned a customer value score. Guess what factors lower your score? Cultural name patterns and zip codes from predominantly minority neighborhoods. Zara absorbed this information. Her phone rang. It was a number she didn't recognize, but something told her to answer. Ms. Williams, this is Cameron Wilson. I was an executive at Empire until last week. Zara put the call on speaker. Why are you contacting me? Because what they're doing is wrong and it goes higher than you can imagine. Board members, government connections, regulatory capture. I have proof, but it's dangerous. They're monitoring everything. Why should I trust you? You shouldn't necessarily. But check your email. I've sent encrypted files that will corroborate what the others have already shown you. The password is floor change with the date of your flight. After the call, Zara opened the files. They contained executive communications explicitly discussing how to maintain passenger demographic balance while avoiding accusations of discrimination. One email from Board Chairman William Pierce III stated, "The profitability issue with certain demographics remains a concern. Implement the new directive but ensure plausible deniability." This is bigger than one airline, Sandra said grimly. We've identified similar patterns across the industry. It's systematic. That night, Maya developed a high fever. Her rash had worsened, and she was crying inconsolably. They needed to go to the emergency room. It's risky, Sandra warned. They could be monitoring hospitals. I don't have a choice, Zara replied, already gathering Maya's things. She needs medical attention now. Sandra agreed to drive them to a hospital in a different neighborhood. The emergency room was crowded, but the staff took Maya's condition seriously when Zara explained about the airplane bathroom floor. While a doctor examined Maya, two men in hospital security uniforms entered the treatment area. Excuse me, this is a private examination, the doctor protested. Hospital protocol, one man said unconvincingly. We need to document the child's condition. When Zara refused to hand over her phone for evidence purposes, the men became insistent. The doctor, growing suspicious, called for the actual hospital security. In the confusion, Sandra grabbed Zara and Maya. Those aren't hospital staff. We need to leave now. A nurse who had been monitoring the situation helped them exit through a staff entrance. I recognized you from the news, she whispered to Zara. My sister experienced something similar on Empire last year. Go quickly. As they drove away, Sandra's phone buzzed with a news alert. Empire Airline CEO calls emergency board meeting. To address viral controversy. Have you ever wondered how far corporations will go to cover up systematic discrimination? Type 1 in the comments if you're shocked by the lengths Empire Airlines is willing to go to silence Zara and protect their racist practices. Hit subscribe if you believe whistleblowers deserve protection when exposing corporate wrongdoing. What would you do if you discovered your company was secretly profiling customers based on race? As Zara digs deeper into Empire's dark practices, will this underground network be enough to protect her and Maya from an increasingly desperate corporation? Stay tuned to see how this mother's courage will be tested even further. 3 weeks after her tweets went viral, Zara found herself in Washington, D.C., preparing to testify before the Congressional Transportation Committee. The hearing had been hastily arranged after public pressure forced lawmakers to address airline discrimination practices. The Grand Committee room intimidated Zara as she took her seat at the witness table. Maya was with her mother back at the hotel, finally recovered from her infection, but still bearing faint marks from the rash. Eliza. Washington sat beside Zara, projecting calm confidence. "Remember, stick to the facts," Eliza whispered. "They'll try to provoke an emotional response to discredit you." On the opposite side of the room, Empire Airlines executives sat in a row of expensive suits. CEO Richard Blackwell avoided eye contact, while his team of lawyers whispered urgently among themselves. Board Chairman William Pierce III was noticeably absent, having sent a statement citing prior commitments. Committee Chairman Senator Robert Gordon gavelled the session to order. His opening remarks immediately set the tone. "This committee takes allegations of discrimination seriously, but we must distinguish between isolated incidents and systematic problems. We must also be wary of social media exaggerations that damage American businesses." Zara's heart sank. Gordon's ties to the airline industry were well known, and his bias was evident. When she was called to testify, Zara kept her voice steady as she recounted her experience on Flight 2703. She presented the video evidence, internal documents from whistleblowers, and testimonials from former employees. She explained how the company had retaliated against her and others who had spoken out. "This isn't about one bad flight attendant or one isolated incident," she concluded. "Empire Airlines has a documented system of racial profiling disguised as customer prioritization." The questioning began with Senator Gordon. "Ms. Williams, have you ever filed discrimination complaints before this incident?" "No, Senator. I haven't. Yet overnight you became a social media crusader. Some might view this as opportunistic," Eliza interjected. "Objection to characterization. My client is a victim of discrimination who chose to speak out." Gordon continued. "Ms. Williams, are you aware that Empire Airlines has an exemplary diversity hiring record? Hiring minorities doesn't prevent an organization from discriminating against them or their customers," Zara replied evenly. A junior senator followed up. "We've received testimony that you were combative during the flight. How do you respond?" "That's categorically false, and the video evidence contradicts it. I remained calm and reasonable while being subjected to a discriminatory treatment." As the questioning grew increasingly hostile, Zara maintained her composure, responding with facts rather than emotion despite the committee's attempts to provoke her. Empire CEO Richard Blackwell's testimony contrasted sharply. He expressed deep regret for any miscommunication while denying any systematic issues. He announced a new training program and a $50 million diversity initiative, characterizing the incident as a learning opportunity. "Empire Airlines categorically rejects discrimination in any form," he stated smoothly. The viral video captured an unfortunate misunderstanding, not company policy. Just as the hearing seemed to be tilting in Empire's favor, Eliza requested to call a surprise witness. Despite Senator Gordon's objections, other committee members overruled him. Gregory Chen, the sympathetic flight attendant from Flight 2703, took the witness stand. His hands trembled slightly, but his voice was firm. "I worked for Empire Airlines for 7 years until I was terminated for cooperating with this investigation," he began. "What happened to Ms. Williams and her baby wasn't a misunderstanding or an isolated incident. It was standard practice." Chen presented internal communications, showing how Empire trained staff to identify passengers using coded language for racial profiling. He described witnessing countless incidents of discrimination and explained the company's tactics for silencing complaints. "We were taught to offer vouchers to make problems go away. If that didn't work, the company would intimidate, discredit, or buy off complainants. I personally observed these tactics dozens of times." The committee room erupted in murmurs. Senator Gordon tried repeatedly to cut off Chen's testimony, but other committee members insisted he be allowed to finish. By the time the hearing concluded, public sentiment had shifted dramatically. Empire's stock plummeted another 15%. The committee voted 9-4 to launch an industry-wide investigation into discrimination practices, with only Senator Gordon and his closest allies opposing. In the aftermath, Empire Airlines issued a public apology and announced that CEO Richard Blackwell would be taking an indefinite leave of absence. The company offered Zara a settlement of $5 million, contingent on signing a non-disclosure agreement. That evening, Zara's hotel room became a war room as her legal team debated the offer. $5 million would secure Maya's future, one lawyer argued. But the NDA would silence you forever, Eliza countered. They're buying your silence, not admitting fault. Zara felt torn. The money would transform her and Maya's lives, providing security they had never known. But accepting it meant other mothers might face the same discrimination with no recourse. Family members urged her to take the settlement. Friends reminded her of the toll the fight was taking. Even some of her strongest supporters suggested she had done enough and deserved to move on. The next day, Zara stood before a crowd of reporters in what appeared to be a victory press conference. Empire Airlines representatives stood nearby, settlement documents ready for signing. Today marks an important step toward accountability, Zara began. People applauded, assuming she was announcing the settlement. As she thanked her supporters and recounted her journey, her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Don't sign anything. This isn't over." The grand ballroom of the Ritz-Carlton San Francisco had been transformed for the settlement signing ceremony. Crystal chandeliers sparkled above elegantly dressed executives and their legal teams. Empire Airlines had spared no expense to make this moment feel momentous, with champagne flowing and photographers documenting what they hoped would be the end of a PR nightmare. Zara felt out of place in her simple blue dress as she was ushered to a leather chair at the center table. The company's interim CEO, Victoria Reynolds, greeted her warmly, nothing like the cold hostility Zara had encountered from previous executives. "Ms. Williams, we deeply regret what happened to you and your daughter," Reynolds said with seemingly genuine remorse. "This settlement represents our commitment to change and our acknowledgement that Empire Airlines failed you." The legal teams exchanged pleasantries as final documents were prepared. Empire's representatives emphasized how the $5 million settlement was among the largest ever offered in a discrimination case, how the company was implementing new diversity training, and how they were establishing a passenger advocacy board. It all seemed perfect, too perfect. As Zara reviewed the thick settlement agreement, her attorney Eliza Washington suddenly frowned, flipping rapidly between sections. "I need to review this more carefully," she said, rising from her seat. "Let's take 15 minutes." In a private room, Eliza laid out the documents. "They've buried something in the legal language. This isn't just a standard NDA." Together, they discovered hidden clauses within the dense legal text. The settlement didn't just require Zara's silence. It transferred all rights to her story, videos, and evidence to Empire Airlines permanently. More troublingly, it included a poison pill. If any other discrimination suits were filed against Empire using similar evidence, Zara would forfeit the entire settlement and face additional penalties. This would prevent any future claims by other victims, Eliza explained. "They're not just buying your silence, they're buying the right to bury this forever." While they contemplated this discovery, Zara received a call from Cameron Wilson, the whistleblowing executive. "Don't sign anything," he warned. "I've uncovered something much bigger." Pierce didn't attend the hearing because he was meeting with investors. "I've traced his family history. William Pierce III's grandfather owned plantations in the South. His family has been funding white supremacist groups for decades through shell foundations." "What does this have to do with Empire Airlines?" Zara asked. "Everything. Pierce doesn't just see this as business, it's ideology. He's been systematically implementing discriminatory practices across multiple industries. Empire is just his most visible platform." Further research by Eliza's team confirmed that Senator Gordon, who had been so hostile during the hearing, owned significant Empire Airlines stock through blind trusts. His financial ties to Pierce extended beyond the airline to real estate, media, and technology companies. Then came devastating news. Marcus Webb, the airport employee who had first helped Zara, had been found severely beaten in a hospital across state lines. "They're getting desperate," Eliza noted grimly. "The settlement isn't about making things right. It's about buying the rights to bury this story forever." Cameron provided evidence that Empire was just one part of a larger network. The same discriminatory algorithms and training manuals had been implemented across several airlines, with industry executives sharing tactics at private retreats. Documents showed how they carefully worded policies to appear neutral while having clearly discriminatory impacts. Armed with this knowledge, Zara returned to the ballroom and publicly refused the settlement, demanding a criminal investigation instead. Her announcement sent shockwaves through the industry and instantly made her even more of a target. That evening, as Zara drove Maya to her mother's house on San Francisco's steep hills, she noticed her car's brakes feeling increasingly soft. When she pressed the pedal at a red light, it went straight to the floor with no resistance. "Oh my God," she gasped, frantically pulling the emergency brake as the car began rolling backward down the hill toward busy traffic below. The car screeched to a halt mere feet from a crowded intersection. When mechanics examined the vehicle, they found the brake lines had been cleanly cut. This was no longer just corporate retaliation. Someone wanted her silenced permanently. The hospital room was sterile and quiet except for the steady beeping of monitors. Zara lay in the bed, her body bruised and bandaged from the accident that had nearly claimed her life. After her car's brakes failed, she had managed to avoid a catastrophic collision with oncoming traffic, but had crashed into a streetlight instead. The doctors called her survival miraculous. Maya was staying with Zara's mother, under round-the-clock protection provided by Eliza Washington's security team. They hadn't told Maya why she couldn't see her mommy, only that it would be a little while longer. At 6 months old, she couldn't understand anyway, but Zara's heart broke, knowing their separation was causing her daughter distress. "The police report came back," Eliza said, entering the room with dark circles under her eyes. "They're calling it inconclusive, whether the brake lines were deliberately cut or suffered from mechanical failure." "We both know what happened," Zara replied weakly. "Of course we do, but proving it is another matter." The legal landscape had shifted dramatically since Zara's refusal to sign the settlement. Her legal team, once enthusiastic about taking on Empire Airlines, was now facing unrelenting pressure. 3 attorneys had withdrawn from the case citing conflicts of interest that had mysteriously arisen overnight. "Thompson and Brooks dropped us this morning," Eliza admitted, referring to the large law firm that had been providing pro bono support. Their managing partner received a call from their biggest client, threatening to take their business elsewhere. "Let me guess. Their client has connections to William Pierce. You're catching on." The media narrative had also shifted. Headlines that once championed Zara's cause now questioned her motives. "Discrimination claimant rejects generous settlement, money grab backfires." Television pundits debated whether she was being unreasonable in pursuing further action when Empire had already admitted fault and tried to make amends. Empire's stock had begun rebounding as the crisis appeared to be resolving in their favor. Public interest was waning as new controversies captured the fleeting attention of social media. Zara's financial situation had become dire. Her medical bills were mounting, legal expenses accumulating, and her former employer had terminated her with cause, claiming her extended absence constituted job abandonment. She had received an eviction notice for her apartment, now 3 months behind on rent. Eliza brought more devastating news. Sandra Diaz was found dead in her apartment yesterday, apparent suicide. She left a note saying the pressure was too much. "Sandra would never," Zara protested, wincing as she tried to sit up. "She was the strongest of all of us." "The note doesn't match her handwriting. I've already had it analyzed. But the police aren't interested in investigating further." The walls were closing in. Gregory Chen had gone into hiding after receiving threats against his family. Marcus Webb remained in critical condition, unable to speak to investigators. Other whistleblowers had fallen silent, some recanting their testimony in suspiciously similar statements. That afternoon, Eliza received notice that her law license was under review for ethical violations suddenly discovered by the State Bar Association. "They're systematically eliminating everyone who supports you," Eliza explained. "It's textbook corporate warfare, but executed with a precision that's frightening." Lying in her hospital bed, staring at the ceiling, Zara felt the weight of hopelessness pressing down on her. The mighty had nearly unlimited resources to crush the powerless. For every piece of evidence they gathered, Empire and its allies seemed to have 10 ways to bury or discredit it. "Maybe I should just stop," Zara whispered, tears streaming down her face. "For Maya's sake, they're too powerful. I can't win this." "That's exactly what they want you to believe," came a voice from the doorway. A tall man with intent eyes and a press badge stood there. "Devin Parker, investigative journalist. I've been tracking Empire for years, and your case broke the dam. You're not alone anymore, Ms. Williams." He placed a laptop on her bedside table and opened a secure browser. "I've been compiling evidence on transportation industry discrimination for 5 years. Flight records, internal memos, whistleblower testimonies, algorithm analyses, everything. But I never had a case strong enough to go public until yours." For the first time in weeks, a spark of hope flickered in Zara's eyes. "They think they've won," Devin continued. "That's their weakness. When the powerful believe they're untouchable, they get careless." He showed her an encrypted database containing evidence from hundreds of discrimination cases across the transportation industry. The pattern was undeniable when viewed collectively. "This isn't about one flight or one airline anymore," Devin said. "This is about an entire system designed to perpetuate discrimination while maintaining plausible deniability." Zara looked at the mountain of evidence, then thought of Maya, now without daily contact with her mother. She thought of Sandra Diaz, who had likely been murdered for trying to expose the truth. She thought of her own broken body, still healing from an accident that was no accident at all. "What's your plan?" she asked finally. "We build an army," Devin replied. "They think they've isolated you. Let's show them how wrong they are." Have you ever faced a moment where giving up seemed like the only option? Type 1 in the comments if you believe Zara should keep fighting despite everything stacked against her. Like this video if you've ever witnessed how the powerful try to silence those who speak truth to power. Would you have the courage to continue fighting after everything Zara has endured? As her struggle reaches its darkest moment, will this unexpected alliance be enough to turn the tide against Empire Airlines and their powerful backers? Keep watching to see how one mother's determination might just change the entire transportation industry forever. The headquarters of the resistance movement against Empire Airlines wasn't what Zara had imagined. It was a converted warehouse in Oakland's industrial district, the unassuming exterior giving no hint of the operation inside. 6 weeks after her viral tweets, still walking with a cane from her accident, Zara entered the space with Devin Parker at her side. Inside, dozens of people worked at computer stations. Whiteboards covered with timelines, connections, and strategies lined the walls. In the center of the room stood a massive digital display, tracking Empire Airlines stock, news mentions, and social media sentiment in real time. "Welcome to the Truth Hub," Devin said. "We've been building this network for years, but your case gave us the catalyst we needed to go public." Zara met the core team, former transportation employees, data scientists, lawyers, and victims of discrimination from across the industry. They had been quietly documenting incidents, gathering evidence, and building a case that no single corporation could easily dismiss or discredit. "Your bathroom floor video was the visual evidence we needed," explained Jordan Kim, a former Empire data analyst who had defected to the resistance. "But what you don't know is how deliberate that situation was." Jordan pulled up complex algorithms on his screen. Empire uses an AI system called Service Optimizer that assigns invisible ratings to passengers. The system specifically targets passengers with African and Latino-sounding names, those from certain zip codes, and those who've purchased tickets through discount platforms. The system assigned lower priority for service, higher scrutiny for rule violations, and strategically allocated resources away from these passengers. When complaints arose, the algorithm automatically classified them as low priority response. The broken changing table wasn't a coincidence, Jordan explained. Maintenance issues are strategically left unresolved in lavatories most frequently used by targeted demographics. It's genius and it's evil, Devon added. They maintain plausible deniability while systematically discriminating. No single employee needs to be overtly racist for the system to function as designed. The evidence was overwhelming. Cameron Wilson, now publicly identified as a whistleblower, had provided recordings from Empire board meetings where executives explicitly discussed racial demographics using coded language like service-intensive passengers and profit optimization vectors. International victims began contacting the Truth Hub with identical experiences on Empire flights across the globe. The pattern was consistent. Minority passengers received demonstrably worse service, experienced more random security checks, and had complaints systematically ignored or minimized. With Eliza Washington's guidance, a class action lawsuit took shape, with over 300 plaintiffs joining the cause. Senator Maria Gonzalez, one of the few committee members who had supported Zara from the beginning, launched a separate investigation independent of Senator Gordon's compromised committee. Tech experts volunteered to combat the online suppression of Zara's story, developing tools to prevent shadow banning and algorithmic burial of related content. As their efforts gained traction, Warren Justice for Zara began trending again, this time with greater staying power. Empire's desperate attempts to contain the situation were documented in an internal memo leaked by multiple employees. Containment has failed. We are now in full crisis mode, all resources dedicated to limiting legal exposure. Most surprisingly, Brittany Holt, the flight attendant who had forced Zara to change Maya on the bathroom floor, reached out through Jordan. "I want to meet," her message read. "They trained us to target people like you. I want to make it right." The meeting was arranged at a neutral location with security precautions. Brittany arrived looking nothing like the confident flight attendant from Flight 2703. Her eyes were hollow, her posture defeated. "We received coded training," she explained, voice trembling. "Never explicitly racial, always plausibly deniable. Service allocation priorities, they called it. We were shown how to identify high-maintenance, low-profit passengers and provide appropriately scaled service." She provided training materials and her personal notes from sessions led by Empire's customer service directors. These sessions taught employees to recognize patterns of behavior and appearance that aligned perfectly with racial stereotypes while never explicitly mentioning race. "I bought into it," Brittany admitted. "I told myself it was about business, not bias. But after seeing what happened to you and your baby, I can't be part of this anymore." Her testimony strengthened the case immeasurably, providing first-hand confirmation of systematic training in discriminatory practices. As the resistance gained momentum, so did the desperation of their opponents. That evening, Maya's daycare center received a bomb threat, forcing evacuation. Simultaneously, a suspicious fire broke out at Zara's mother's home, where Maya had been staying. Though everyone escaped safely, the message was clear. Nowhere was truly safe. Devon's expression was grim as he shared the news with Zara. "They're escalating beyond legal intimidation. This is getting dangerous." "It was always dangerous," Zara replied, her resolve hardening rather than weakening. "But now they're scared, and scared people make mistakes." 2 months after Zara's tweets had gone viral, Empire Airlines launched their most aggressive counteroffensive yet. Simultaneous lawsuits were filed against all major whistleblowers, alleging conspiracy, corporate espionage, and breach of confidentiality. The legal barrage was clearly designed to overwhelm the resistance with paperwork and depleting legal resources. William Pierce III personally directed the attack campaign from Empire's headquarters, refusing the board's suggestion that he step back from day-to-day operations. "This is war," he reportedly told executives. "We don't retreat in war." Empire's strategy backfired spectacularly when Brittany Holt gave sworn testimony about the racial training she had received. Her detailed account of how flight attendants were taught to provide inferior service to minority passengers made national headlines. "We were instructed to use code words to alert other crew members about passengers of interest," she testified. The training videos showed only minorities as examples of service optimization candidates. Empire's security team was caught intimidating witnesses outside the courthouse, with photographers documenting 2 former military contractors attempting to pressure a former Empire customer service representative into withdrawing her testimony. The incident led to criminal charges against the security contractors and further damaged Empire's credibility. Eliza Washington, despite ongoing attempts to discredit her professional standing, orchestrated a brilliant legal counteroffensive. Rather than fighting each lawsuit individually, she consolidated them into a single case that put Empire's entire corporate culture on trial. The tide turned decisively when an anonymous source, later revealed to be Jordan Kim, released Empire's complete internal communications to every major newspaper simultaneously. The emails contained explicit discussions of demographic profitability management and cultural service allocation, with executives openly discussing methods to discourage certain unprofitable demographics from becoming regular customers. Government regulatory agencies that had initially hesitated to intervene now launched formal investigations into Empire's practices. The Department of Transportation announced a comprehensive review of the airline's compliance with anti-discrimination laws, while the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission examined workplace discrimination claims from former employees. CEO Richard Blackwell, who had temporarily stepped aside during the initial controversy, attempted to return with a strategy of blaming frontline employees for implementing policies differently than intended. Our service guidelines were meant to optimize the customer experience for everyone, he claimed in a press conference. If individual employees misinterpreted these policies, that reflects personal failings, not corporate direction. The statement triggered an unprecedented response. A mass employee walkout that crippled Empire's operations nationwide. Flight attendants, ground crew, and even pilots joined the protest, wearing badges that read, "I won't fly racist skies." The action stranded thousands of passengers and forced Empire to cancel over 70% of its flights. Protests spread to airports across the country. Travelers carried signs supporting Zara and other victims of discrimination. Online travel agencies added warnings to Empire Airlines listings, noting the ongoing controversy. The final blow came during an emergency board meeting to discuss crisis management. William Pierce III, unaware his microphone was still active during a break, was recorded saying, "These people don't understand their place. We provide a premium service for premium people. If they want equal treatment, they should fly budget carriers where they belong." The recording spread across social media within hours. Empire's stock, which had been gradually recovering, crashed 70% in a single trading day. Bankruptcy rumors triggered a sell-off by institutional investors. The board attempted to remove Pierce immediately, but his controlling interest allowed him to resist. As major clients and partners publicly severed ties with Empire, the company faced an existential crisis. Zara, now recovered enough to walk without assistance, faced a final confrontation with Pierce at a shareholders' meeting she attended as the representative of a sympathetic investor. When Pierce attempted to dismiss the discrimination claims as opportunistic activism, Zara approached the microphone. "Mr. Pierce, you picked the wrong mother to mess with," she stated calmly, the room falling silent. "You thought your power and money could silence me. You were willing to harm a baby to protect your system of discrimination, but you miscalculated. One mother became hundreds, then thousands. Your empire is crumbling because you believed your privilege made you untouchable." Pierce's face contorted with rage as he attempted to have security remove her, but many of the guards had joined the employee walkout. As he shouted for order, the board members exchanged glances and nods. A senior board member approached the podium and announced an emergency vote. Within minutes, William Pierce III was removed from operational control of the company he had built, though he retained his ownership stake. As Pierce was escorted from the building, shouting threats of retribution, Empire Airlines announced an emergency restructuring to address the crisis that had brought the once mighty corporation to its knees. 3 months after those fateful tweets, Zara stood on the steps of the federal courthouse as Eliza Washington announced the historic settlement. Empire Airlines would pay $1.2 billion to victims of discrimination, the largest civil rights settlement in transportation history. This settlement contains no confidentiality provisions, Eliza emphasized to the assembled press. No victims will be silenced. Empire Airlines has agreed to full transparency requirements and independent monitoring for the next decade. The Justice Department announced criminal charges against multiple former Empire executives for conspiracy to violate civil rights laws, destruction of evidence, and witness intimidation. Senator Gordon resigned from the Transportation Committee after his financial ties to Empire were exposed and faced an ethics investigation for conflict of interest. Zara was appointed to the newly formed Federal Transportation Equity Commission, tasked with developing industry-wide regulations to prevent similar discrimination. Her first official act was to propose the Maya Rule, requiring all commercial aircraft to maintain functioning and sanitary changing facilities regardless of flight class. Maya's first birthday celebration, held in a park surrounded by supporters and fellow plaintiffs, became a symbol of their journey. The tiny girl who had once been forced onto a filthy bathroom floor now toddled among well-wishers, blissfully unaware of her role in transforming an industry. Gregory Chen and other employees who had been fired for speaking out were reinstated with back pay and promotions. Marcus Webb recovered from his injuries and was appointed Empire's first chief diversity officer as part of the settlement requirements. Empire Airlines underwent a complete rebranding, changing its name to Unity Airlines and restructuring with diverse leadership at all levels. Their new training programs, developed with input from civil rights organizations, became a model for the industry. Zara used a portion of her settlement to establish the Floor Change Foundation, dedicated to transportation equity and supporting whistleblowers facing retaliation. The foundation's first initiative provided legal assistance to employees fighting discriminatory practices across the transportation sector. Airlines began prominently featuring passenger rights information on safety cards and pre-flight videos. Complaint procedures were simplified, with independent tracking to prevent systematic dismissal of discrimination claims. Patricia Lopez, the airport manager who had initially dismissed Zara's concerns and later tampered with evidence, received a suspended sentence and community service requirement. As part of her plea agreement, she now conducted training sessions on recognizing and addressing unconscious bias in customer service. A video went viral, showing a black family being upgraded to first class on a Unity Airlines flight, with the crew member explaining it was part of their new Dignity First initiative. The mother's tearful gratitude as her children excitedly explored the premium cabin resonated with viewers worldwide. Zara delivered a powerful speech at the National Civil Rights Museum, standing before iconic images of earlier civil rights struggles. One mother on a dirty floor became an army for change, she told the audience. What happened to Maya and me wasn't new or unique. The only difference was that I had the means to document it and the privilege of being heard. Our victory belongs to the thousands who suffered in silence before us, and our work continues for those who still face discrimination every day. For Zara and her supporters, it was a moment of triumph and vindication after months of struggle. The systemic discrimination that had once seemed untouchable had been exposed and dismantled, proving that corporate power, no matter how entrenched, could be held accountable. Yet even as they celebrated, a troubling note emerged. William Pierce III had disappeared overseas, his private jet tracked to a tax haven with limited extradition agreements. Though removed from Empire's operations, he had liquidated much of his considerable fortune before asset freezes could be implemented. "We've won this battle," Eliza cautioned when she shared this information with Zara. But people like Pierce don't simply accept defeat. 1 year after her 3 tweets had changed everything, Zara Williams had transformed from a marketing executive to a respected advocate for transportation equity. She traveled frequently, speaking at conferences and consulting with companies, genuinely committed to eliminating discriminatory practices. Maya, now 18 months old, had become a symbol of the movement. Though Zara was careful to protect her daughter's privacy, the story of the floor change baby remained powerful shorthand for the human impact of corporate discrimination. The transportation industry's statistics showed measurable improvement. Complaint data, now transparently tracked through an independent monitoring system, revealed significant decreases in race-related incidents. Unity Airlines, formerly Empire, had gone from the worst offender to an industry leader in equity metrics. Zara maintained a watchful eye on these developments, knowing that progress required constant vigilance. Systems naturally revert to old patterns unless actively redirected, she often said in her presentations. Discrimination doesn't disappear. It evolves and finds new expressions. This philosophy proved prescient when Jordan Kim uncovered troubling information while monitoring global transportation trends. William Pierce III had resurfaced as the principal investor in a new venture capital firm specializing in transportation companies in developing markets. Through complex ownership structures and local proxies, Pierce was quietly acquiring airlines, bus companies, and ride-sharing platforms across Asia, Africa, and Latin America. More disturbing was evidence that he was exporting the same discriminatory systems that had been outlawed in the United States. He's building an international transportation network based on the Empire model, Jordan explained, showing Zara the documentation. Same algorithms, same training, same practices, just in countries with weaker regulatory frameworks and less scrutiny. That week, Zara received the Emerson Human Rights Award, a prestigious recognition of her advocacy work. During her acceptance speech, she directly addressed the ongoing challenge. Justice doesn't recognize borders, she told the audience. The fight against discrimination can't be won in just one country or one company, as long as there are powerful people who believe some humans deserve less dignity than others. Our work continues. The global coalition that had formed around Zara's case expanded its focus, developing technologies to document and report discriminatory incidents worldwide. The Floor Change Foundation established international chapters and partnered with local advocacy groups in countries where Pierce was operating. Maya's second birthday celebration coincided with the anniversary of the movement Zara had inadvertently launched. As supporters gathered to commemorate both milestones, Zara reflected on the extraordinary journey from that terrible flight to the global campaign for transportation equity. A year ago, I was fighting for my life against forces that seemed invincible, she told Devin Parker in a quiet moment away from the celebration. Now we're fighting for justice across continents. And winning, Devin reminded her. Their conversation was interrupted by news that William Pierce III would be speaking at the International Transportation Conference in Singapore, his first public appearance since leaving the United States. Despite concerns for her safety, Zara immediately decided to attend. The confrontation occurred during the conference's opening reception. Pierce, still projecting confidence despite his fall from grace, was surrounded by new business partners. When Zara approached, "Ms. Williams," he acknowledged coldly. "Still riding your victimhood to celebrity, I see. Still building systems to dehumanize people who look like me, I see," she countered. "You changed one company," Pierce said with a dismissive wave. "I'm building an empire. The world outside your privileged American bubble understands business is business. Demographics determine profitability. It's not personal." "It was personal. When you tried to kill me," Zara replied calmly. "It was personal when you threatened my child, and it's personal for every person your systems target." "You have no jurisdiction here," Pierce smirked. "Your American sentimentality doesn't translate to global markets." "Human dignity isn't an American concept," Zara responded, aware that others were recording the exchange. "And neither is accountability." Her response, captured and shared worldwide, became the rallying cry for the next phase of the movement. Justice doesn't have borders, neither will we. As Zara boarded her flight home with Maya, now recognized by flight crews around the world, the Unity Airlines attendant greeted them with respect that would have been unimaginable a year earlier. "Ms. Williams, thank you for teaching us all," she said sincerely. "Your seat is ready whenever you are." Settling into her seat with Maya on her lap, Zara gazed out the window as the plane prepared for takeoff. The battle against William Pierce III and others like him would continue across borders and jurisdictions, perhaps for years to come. The systems of discrimination were deeply entrenched and constantly evolving. But as she felt the aircraft lift into the sky, Zara was filled with the same determination that had carried her through the darkest moments of the past year. What had begun with a mother's outrage over her baby's dignity had grown into a global movement for justice. "This is Just the beginning, she whispered to Maya as they soared above the clouds, leaving the past behind but carrying its lessons forward. The story of Zara Williams offers powerful lessons about standing up against systemic discrimination. First, it demonstrates that seemingly small incidents of racism often reveal much larger patterns of institutional discrimination. What began as one mother forced to change her baby on a bathroom floor uncovered an entire corporate system designed to marginalize people of color. Second, Zara's journey highlights the extreme lengths powerful entities will go to protect discriminatory systems. From character assassination and legal intimidation to physical threats, those who benefit from inequality will fight desperately to maintain it. The more successful your resistance, the stronger the backlash you may face. Third, we learn that documentation is crucial. Zara's video evidence prevented Empire Airlines from dismissing her experience as a misunderstanding. In fighting discrimination, concrete evidence can transform individual complaints into irrefutable patterns. Fourth, this story reveals the power of coalition building. Zara succeeded not because she fought alone, but because she connected with others facing similar discrimination. Individual voices can be silenced, but a unified movement becomes unstoppable. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, Zara's story teaches us that lasting change requires persistent vigilance. Discrimination doesn't simply disappear when exposed. It adapts and finds new expressions. The fight for equality isn't a single battle, but an ongoing commitment that crosses borders and generations. The most profound lesson is that ordinary people can create extraordinary change. One mother's refusal to accept indignity for her child sparked a movement that transformed an entire industry and inspired global accountability. What discriminatory experiences have you witnessed or experienced while traveling? Comment below and share your story to help others know they're not alone. Has a company ever tried to silence you after you spoke up about unfair treatment? If you believe everyone deserves to be treated with dignity regardless of their race, hit that like button and subscribe to support more stories of courage against injustice. Have you ever been in a situation where speaking up seemed impossible, but you did it anyway? Share this video with someone who needs to know that their voice matters, even against seemingly invincible opposition. Thank you for witnessing Zara's journey from a mother protecting her child to a leader changing the world. Remember, justice doesn't have borders, and neither should our commitment to fighting for it. Until next time, stay vigilant, stay vocal, and never underestimate your power to transform systems of inequality.